All right, Pamela, thank you so
Hi.
much for allowing me to record this portion of the interview. It's been great to talk with you so far. You've worked here locally in Volusia County at some great companies, that we have partnered with in the past. And I am eager to talk with you a little bit about your skill set and what's next. So why don't you tell me, there was a little bit of a gap actually, let's go ahead and start at the beginning and then we'll wrap up at the
Okay.
beginning because I think it will make more sense. So
Sure.
why don't you tell me a little bit about, let's go back to DaVita.
Okay. And on DaVita, I was on a temp contract. I was covering for somebody out on maternity leave. And right after I started that little 3-month contract, COVID happened. So all of a sudden, I wasn't just covering purchasing for this one woman. I was helping with the extra PPE they needed, and extra everything that they needed because of COVID, testing, PPE, et cetera. They were using, I forgot what software they were using. They were using an Oracle-based software.
Okay.
And mostly what I was doing was, DaVita Labs is the main place, and all the DaVitas that you see around the country that do the actual dialysis were our customers. So I was buying for all those locations around the country. I was buying their PPE, their centrifuges, basically everything they needed to do, because they did in-house testing, everything they needed for their in-house testing and the protection of their patients as well. It was the other thing I was doing was tracking all the PPE. They wanted to see how much extra PPE was going to these locations. So I worked in a spreadsheet, not everybody's favorite, but I love them. I was working in a spreadsheet specifically to track that extra PPE above and beyond their normal PPE. And unfortunately, they extended it for about a year, but when COVID was back under control, they did end that position because they had their other person back.
Yeah, okay, great. And then from there, that's when you went over to Bloomio's in Daytona?
Correct.
Okay.
I wanted to try something a little different. They were manufacturing CBD gummies and the like. And it was interesting because it was food-based, obviously, so we had FDA compliances to worry about. They were small. I was purchasing everything. So everything MRO, everything office-related, and everything production-related. And working on developing relationships and agreements with suppliers so that we could buy larger quantities on a schedule, so that we could keep our production going. And that was the first time I was in some kind of production, and I really liked it, because you can see ahead, you know what your production is going to be, so you know what you have to buy, instead of it sort of being, oh, quick, buy this now. So I was really comfortable in that planning was really comfortable for me. That used an in-house built spreadsheet database. So everything was nested spreadsheets. I didn't build it, but I babied it and carried it on. By the end of my time there, they did convert to a new ERP system, but unfortunately, shortly after that, they went out of business.
Okay. Yep, I do know that. Okay.
I learned a ton there. It was so interesting.
Sure. Especially like you said, all the food and the manufacturing side of it, which is great. So then that job helped you land your next position with a government contractor in De Leon at Spartan.
In De Leon Springs at Spartan,
De Leon.
They changed things around a little bit while I was there. They have buyers. Originally, they were each buying for each production line, and there were 5 different production lines. And then they wanted to have each supplier have each buyer do specific suppliers, and then they decided to have each buyer do specific commodities. And while I was there, I bought parachutes for a little while. To be fair, it was already very well established with a great company up in Canada. And so they kind of already had the bids. But then after that, I was moved to the power supply boards, which was its own can of worms, because you're not just buying all the components for each board, all the capacitors, etc., all come from different places. They've all got different pricing, and they go obsolete very quickly. So they were using designs from 2017, and this was 2023. So in electronics world, 6 years is a very long time.
Oh, sure.
We were often dealing with obsolete obsolete parts. So then they had to get new designs approved, and it wasn't just approved for does it work. The Navy had to approve the change as well. So there was a lot of compliance, a lot of jumping through hoops with the government compliance. And it was something I was actually good at, because I'm a rule follower. You give me a structure and I'm going to be a happy bunny.
Okay. Love that. Okay. And then let's see here. Okay. Then you left Spartan to care for a family member.
Yeah, I was laid off in October. The September right before that, my husband had a heart attack. Pleased to say he's great now. He has no restrictions. Good. He's good to go.
Good.
But it was a tough year for us, and I was taking him to appointments, helping him remember questions and medications. There was a lot going on.
Sure. Okay.
But he's great, and we're good now.
Okay, and you did keep your skills sharp. You did say that you were helping out another company along the line, kind of in your free time.
Another gummy manufacturing company.
Okay.
I worked with them for 3 months to set up their own system.
Okay.
Again, Excel based. In this case, they didn't want to splash out for their own ERP, but it was tracking the production and the inventory. All of these are nested and interrelated. So if inventory is entered over here and the usage is entered over here, you had what you had. So it gave you all the information that an ERP system would give you.
Sure.
So set that up for them. Set up their sheets for production, because they all different flavors, all different strengths. So this is what you're making, this many of this flavor of this strength. Therefore, you need this much of all the ingredients. So I was giving that to setting that up for production. So I did that for about 3 months.
Okay. And you did say something to me that was pretty interesting, and I wanted to make note of it. Is that that's not necessarily, you don't want to get put into just that manufacturing type, because that's not really something you wanted to stay in that field.
It's not. And one of the first questions they asked me in my interview at Spartan was whether or not I partake, and I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have anything against it. To be honest, I use the topical creams for aches and pains, and they're wonderful, but taking it is just not my bag. But I didn't want to have a lot of that on my resume, because a lot of people who work there are.
Sure.
So
well, and especially with a government contractor, I can see why that they would have asked.
And we did background and blood testing for that, and I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah, of course, I understand. Thank you for sharing that. And then we did talk a little bit about that some roles purchasing, could require in the future maybe becoming forklift certified, and you might have to lift. And you said, what did we say? Right up to around 30 pounds. Obviously, you're not going to be lifting, crazy heavy things all day long. We don't want you to hurt yourself by any means. I do think that was important to note. And you're available to get started right away?
I am.
Okay.
The only thing I should throw out there, my sister is getting married in March, and there's about 2 days in mid-March that I'd want to take off, but that's it. It's easy. She's planned. I don't have a lot to do there.
Okay, gotcha. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and stop this part of the interview, but don't go anywhere. We're going to talk a little bit more offline.
Sorry, I so much.